the slide in front of you. If you would like a direct email with the video recording, please enter your name and organization as well as email address into the chat. Thanks. For those of you who have just joined, thanks for being here. While we're waiting, I'm going to give everybody until 9:31 to join, and then we'll get started. But if you would like a direct email with the video recording of this session, please enter your information into the chat. Okay, it is 9:31, so I'm just gonna get rolling. Before we get started, just want to let everybody know this is being recorded. I put on the last slide, but if you'd like a direct email with this recording, please let me know by putting your information into the chat, and I'll make sure that you get a direct email with that recording. My name is Dana Lehman. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for the town of Crested Butte. I will be joined about halfway through by Troy Russ, who is our Community Development Director, and he'll be here to help me answer questions and take some notes. So you'll see him a little bit later. So I'm going to be going over really just a general overview of our request for proposals for our 2030 Climate Action Plan. So just want to start by doing a brief overview of the timeline. We are on a pretty tight timeline here. We are at November 15th at the pre-proposal conference meeting. We will have a question period deadline of November 20th, and our team will have responses back to y'all by November 29th. The proposals are due at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, December 6th. We'll be going through some selection advisory committee review, as well as some shortlist interviews, and then contract negotiations. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. It seems like the slides aren't advancing here. Is everyone else seeing the slides change, or is that just an issue for one person? They aren't advancing. Okay. I might stop sharing this as I am and try to share this a different way. Sorry about that, everybody. Can folks let me know if they're seeing the slides advance now? Or are we on the timeline slide? Okay, looks like it's working. Great. All right, sorry about that. So you can see the timeline here on the screen. I won't maybe go back and go through all of that, but what's important to note here is that we're hoping to have our consultant approved by council by January 2nd and provide a notice to proceed to that selected consultant by January 3rd. We do have some updates on that timeline. So we're looking at December 13th and 14th for our interviews, and then just allowing us a little bit more time to negotiate a contract and get our proposals approved by council before the Christmas holiday. So we had to scoot that timeline up a little bit. That does not affect the proposal deadline, nor does it affect the notice to proceed date. So just wanted to note that. The most up-to-date proposal is available on our bids and proposals website. So if y'all want to take note of that proposals page, that link that I've put just here, please feel free to do that. So overall, our 2030 Climate Action Plan is looking to achieve several things. This is not the comprehensive list that is included in the RFP, but I did just want to highlight some major goals or objectives for our 2030 Climate Action Plan. First and foremost, doing a greenhouse gas emissions inventory for 2022 that sets new 2030 greenhouse gas emissions reduction targets. A climate action plan that informs our community of our climate action progress since 2019. It's really important to us that the climate action plan does incorporate social equity into all recommended actions that are identified. We'd love to align with other mountainous tourism-based economies and help us to kind of meet what other communities are doing that are similar to us. I want to place special emphasis on this piece because it is important to our council, but providing a cost carbon analysis, a public health benefit, or any other identified co-benefits for all recommended initiatives or projects. Aligning with other recommendations from other town plans published or developing, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then another important piece is providing us with realistic monitoring and verification metrics so we can measure our impact going forward. So generally the scope of work will be a project management piece, our greenhouse gas emissions inventory, stakeholder and community engagement, as well as an appropriate project schedule, and then finally ending with the climate action plan. And I've bulleted a few of these because I'm going to speak specifically to them. So the greenhouse gas emissions inventory we would like to see completed in ICLEI's ClearPath tool for inventorying and modeling. And there will be an emphasis on instructing the project lead, which will be me, to continue that work going forward. We really prefer not to have a greenhouse gas emissions inventory that gets handed to us and we can really do nothing with until the next climate action update. So looking to be instructed on that piece. And I'm making special note here of the stakeholder and community engagement because there is a lot going on in Crested Butte at the moment and for next year. This graphic to the right here represents everything that's going on. So all of these plans that you see are either being adopted or initiated in 2024. They all do come out of our comprehensive plan, or what we call our community compass. So we're looking at the historic preservation plan, the strategic infill plan, and the climate action plan, all being initiated in 2024 by different departments. And they are all intricately linked and inform each other. So the town and different department staff have come together to perform a very concerted stakeholder engagement process, which I'll speak a little bit to. One thing I do want to note is that there will be several different committees. The consultant that is contracted for the climate action plan will be engaging with some of those committees. First and foremost in the integrative consultant kickoff meeting. So typically with these processes, you're probably used to seeing just one internal staff kickoff. We will have a meeting between all the consultants for this plan so that y'all can speak to each other, understand what the different plans represent, and kind of get a sense for how they link together. At this point, that will really be the only integrative session between the consultants, and then the climate action plan consultant will be dealing strictly with the climate action plan committee and internal staff, a project lead, myself, and with council. And then staff will inform the consultant on what those integrative quarterly meetings, what the content is that comes out of those. So the Climate Action Plan really stems from our community compass. We have a specific creed to act on the urgency of climate change and prepare for the changes we expect from it. That is our goal. The compass does outline and gives town staff a structure to make decisions within the town for any plan. So these are the 4 major steps of the community compass. So defining the challenge. In the climate action context, that looks like setting our new greenhouse gas emissions reduction goals and identifying other climate action goals. Identifying success measures, which we will do with our community and stakeholders, understanding how we're going to measure what identified actions, how they are successful in our context. We will create alternatives and filter them through the success measures. And when I say alternatives, just the climate action recommendations. And then finally, making an informed decision is the last step of our community compass. And that's really developing the plan and feeling like our community is well informed to develop that plan. I bring these up because this process will be followed during our climate action plan development. So just to give you a contextualized timeline, phase 1, where we define the challenge, do the greenhouse gas emissions inventory, will really be that January through March timeframe. Identifying success measures and creating alternatives will be April through June next year. And then we will refine those alternatives and filter them through the success measures, July through September. And finally, in phase 4, we will be finalizing the draft, submitting that for public comment, and hopefully having council adopt that by December of 2024. This project will end with a 2022 greenhouse gas emissions inventory, as I've said. One hope for us is to develop an online dashboard of our climate action plan progress that hopefully can speak to ClearPath so we can easily update that. This piece is optional, and if it is cost prohibitive, we will remove that from the deliverables list. The consultant is expected to provide technical expertise and materials for community engagement sessions, as well as presentations specifically for council work sessions. And then finally, the 2030 Climate Action Plan. And the project will conclude with a town resolution to adopt the Climate Action Plan. We're hoping on December 2nd of this next year. And then just want to reiterate the submission requirements. So the proposal deadline again is 5 p.m. on a Wednesday, so December 6th, 2023. We will be accepting only electronic submissions in PDF formats. You will submit that to myself. My email is there, and then just note the subject line so it's easier for us to find your proposals. The question and answer period that we're in right now, the deadline for written questions will be November 20th. You will submit those via email. And then we will make sure to distribute responses back to you by November 29th. And then we're hoping to, if the timeline goes well, provide a notice to proceed on January 3rd. So that is all I have for you as far as a presentation. So I will gladly take questions. Yes, Deanna. Let's see, I thought I saw Deanna had her hand raised. But Deanna, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. So maybe I'll go to Vanessa in the chat here. What is the role of the Climate Action Plan Advisory Committee through the Climate Action Plan development process? Great question. The advisory committee will be sticking with us through the process, and they will actually help us develop climate action measures. So while we will focus specifically on the greenhouse gas emissions inventory, we would love to hear feedback from our community on what other relevant topics they want to see included in the Climate Action Plan. And these folks will be a committee that help us, again, develop those climate action, we call them alternatives, but solutions, projects, initiatives, and measure them against how our community measures success. And Vanessa, let me know if I answered your question or if you want some follow-up on that. Deanna, we cannot hear you. I will try to unmute you here. Let's see, folks, I apologize. It looks like I can't unmute y'all. Let me just do a little, see if I can fix this here. All right. I think I fixed that setting. Maybe Deanna, since you were kind of first in the queue, if you want to try unmuting now, I think I fixed that. Vanessa, to answer your question in the chat, was the 2018 inventory completed in ClearPath? No, it was not. It was developed by Western Colorado University students, and they provided us a report. I believe that was done in an Excel tool that they used.
Hopefully this works now, but yeah, this is Deanna.
Yes.
My question. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Great.
My question was on the selection process, if you anticipate the interview process to be in person or virtual.
Likely virtual, unless that person chooses to come meet with us. But yeah, I think it would probably be easiest for everybody to keep it virtual.
Okay, and can you talk a little bit more about the stakeholder engagement activities, what might be virtual, what's in person, and how you anticipate that working?
Absolutely. If I did my calendar math right for next year, we will have 6 Climate Action Advisory Committee meetings over the course of the year, really starting once we finalize and wrap up the greenhouse gas emissions inventory. And those activities will look like a kind of a roundtable discussion on what came out of the Climate Action Plan, the greenhouse gas emissions inventory. And understanding beyond just greenhouse gas emissions, are there other salient topics that the community is concerned about that fit into the Climate Action Plan within a certain scope, of course. That committee will help us make decisions on what we do and do not include, as well as help us develop what success looks like with those measures. Did I answer your question, Deanna?
Yeah, that sounds great. And those meetings are in person, right?
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. No, those meetings will actually be virtual. We will have the consultant attend virtually. The only in-person meetings are going to be the council work sessions.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Vanessa, go ahead.
Great, thanks. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Has any work started on the 2022 inventory yet? So have you requested any utility activity data or anything like that?
Just a fair bit for another project. I provided a climate action plan update to our council approximately 2 weeks ago. And we did some very high level inventory information for them.
Okay, and I had one more follow-up. Sorry if
Great.
we're asking all the questions.
No, you're great.
So would you be open to an alternative project approach if it still achieves the intent of the project, but maybe in a slightly different way?
Could you elaborate on that a little bit more, Vanessa, if you're willing to?
Yeah, so either within, not necessarily a stakeholder engagement section, because I know that's already been laid out in detail, but within the inventory development section, cap development section, the implementation roadmap section, any of those, is there
Sure.
room for maybe modifying the approach?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I like you said, that stakeholder engagement piece, because there are so many plans just knit together next year. We're really firm on that schedule with a little wiggle room, but yes, we're open to creative ideas on how to implement this plan.
Perfect. Thank you.
I will note that we would really like to stick with ClearPath as far as greenhouse gas emissions inventory tool, because our county currently uses that tool, as well as some of the other surrounding communities. So for comparison and methodology reasons, it'd be really helpful to be able to compare apples to apples with them. Does anybody else have any questions? Feel free to, if you don't feel like speaking, you're welcome to put your questions in the chat. Lindsay, I see your question here. How many in-person council working sessions will there be? I did not go through the RFP and count exactly how many, but I want to say 4 to 6. They are listed in the RFP if you want an exact count, but I don't want to exit from the meeting and count those. But I think 4 to 6 is about right. All right, I'm going to leave space for just a couple more minutes for folks to add any questions they're thinking about into the chat. Just want to note again that we can send this to you via email if you include your information in the chat. I did see earlier that when I close the meeting, the recording actually becomes available in the chat, but if you'd like a direct email, please let us know. We will do our best to put this information on the website as well. As far as a recording of the webinar, we will be posting a written document that includes all the questions that y'all asked, and post that to the bid and proposals website where the RFP currently lives right now. All right, got a couple more questions popping up in the chat here. Have a building energy use assessment or transportation study been performed? Benjamin, yes, both of those have been assessed to some degree. We are publishing a transportation and mobility plan in January 2024, so that will be available as a resource. It does have some traffic data that was performed for that plan. I'm not sure to what depth y'all would need for that, but that some of that information is available. We did do an energy performance contract and some facility improvement measurements in 2021, and we do have some energy assessment reports on the energy efficiency programs that were implemented on some of our town buildings. And then Vanessa is posting regarding the online dashboard. Are there specific functionalities or features the town would like to see included? How interactive or dynamic should the dashboard be? I would say We really just want to communicate to the town the community, major projects that we're working on. And if those projects have a greenhouse gas emissions reduction impact. As far as interactive, I would say maybe moderately interactive. I don't think we need to have a full on, click and you get a whole greenhouse gas emissions inventory piece to that, but we would like to make it engaging for our community. That might be something that we kind of work through with the consultants and figure out what makes the most sense. Okay, seems like the stream of questions is slowing down. So I'm going to stay on until 10 o'clock, which is 5 minutes from now, just to leave some space for anybody to add any lingering questions into the chat, or feel free to unmute yourselves and ask questions. I think I'll go ahead and end this meeting at 10. So thank you for joining. Unless you have questions, you're welcome to log off. Thanks, everyone.